Hello. Where are all my emo kids at? So long, not good night. Good jams. I'm an emo kid. Let's go. That emote is great. That emote is great. Hello, Ghoul. Hello, Corlin. Hello. Ooh, some RuPaul music. Let's go. You might make it a gameplay before passing out. Aw. It's okay. If you're sleepy, you know? Bring back my girls. I was obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race for a few months a while back. Like, not that long ago. It was just recently. I was super obsessed with that show. I watched like seasons 2 through like 13 or something. I haven't watched it in years, but it's great. It's really good. It's so good. I watched like seasons 2 through 13, I think, or 12. I can't remember. But then I also watched like most of the All-Star seasons too. Hey, do you guys want to see something cool? I have the whip. I have the whip of my redesign. You guys want to take a peek at it? It's looking really good. Yeah, it's looking really good. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right. Bam. Check it out. It's not done yet. It's almost done. But look how cool I look. Right? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah. And then I think like I know the expressions are great, right? So good. And then I think next month or the end of this month? I can't remember. I bought the Twin Tails customizable model, and I already paid commissioned an artist to do retextures for me for that model. So that will be cool. And I think she's starting on it either next month or the end of this month or something. I can't remember exactly. And then we also have new emotes coming that I paid the artist for those. So we're getting some new emotes. They're all gonna be, for the first time in forever, all of my stuff is gonna be the same branding. I'm so excited. And then we also have a new background on the way that's actually unique to me, instead of these ones I keep buying on Etsy because they're cheap. But I got the whip for the background today too, if you guys want to see that. It looks really cool. I'm gonna change. I'll show you. Where is it? Oh, I think I go in here. Yeah. So So here is the whip of the new background we're gonna have. Too. It's gonna be like it'll be like my workshop. So it'll be like where we build droids and computer programming and stuff like that. It's gonna be really cool, right? Wait till you see when it's all done. It's gonna be epic. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I literally spent like over half of my taxes on branding stuff for stream. Because it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so I'm really excited. Very excited. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna look so cool. This reminded me to do my taxes. Oh no. Oh no, not the taxes. So good. Yes, I already did my taxes and paid my accountant and blah 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 blah. A grown up adulting things. Blah blah blah. Soda. Soda. Diet soda, of course. No sugar. Because I'm on my eating healthy arc. Or healthier, I should say. It's my little treat for doing good. Because I came home and I worked out. And then I had tacos for dinner that I made. And they were really good. And now I'm here. And we're streaming. We're strumming. We're going to do more farms in Town to City today. We unlocked like 3 or 4 more farm types, I think, last time. So I want to do that. And then Wednesday, we're going to try our hand at Nova Roma again. We'll give it another shot. And then I think Friday, we're doing RV There Yet with Red and Giga and Wambat. Excuse me. We did like the OG map for RV There Yet, but I guess there's a second map, so we're gonna do that one. So I'm gonna be going on a weird RV road trip with my 3 dads. It'll be fun. All the spiders. For some reason, stuff is paid tonight. I miss you. Oh, I'm ready for a chill game. You guys ready for a chill game? Chill game, fun game. Chill game, fun game. Yeah. Meow. Except I gotta move me. I gotta move me. Oh, thank you for the blankies. Now I'm cozy. Now I'm cozy. Alright, I gotta go. I gotta go over here. I gotta go over here where I'm out of the way. I move Hubba. Come here, Hubba. 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 Hapakata. Hapa. I miss you. Alright, and then let's do Hababa. Habadaba. Habata. Baka. Wise words indeed. You know, that's what our little robot bunny friend is named after. That's why he's called H4B4. Hubba. The community voted. Basically, somebody showed me the Dog of Wisdom video because I had never seen it. And then it just became like a community meme, basically. And then now we have Hubba, our little robot friend. You can make him talk with the text to speech. Point redeem. All right. Yeah, load. Excuse me, I burp. Whoa, points. All the points. Wait, didn't I? Oh, that's right. They want a Ferris wheel. We have to go back to the other town to unlock that. But I think we should do more farms first. Yeah, and then we're gonna have to do like a plaza and stuff. Can I move this? I think I'm gonna actually put it over here. We'll put the carnival here. I would have put it here, but I didn't have it, and I put farms here. So, you know. Which I think we expanded the thing. Farm menu. We didn't. That's the next upgrade. We can make our farms bigger if we want. Which is cool. So we got hops, potatoes, tomatoes, and lettuce. So hops, potatoes, tomatoes. We'll put a farm. No, I want to go dropper. Nope, because they're already decorated. I want to put it there. No, I'll put it here. No, I'll put it down here. Probably too far away from stuff. Let's extend this road out more. Ooh, can I fit this road in here? Nice. It fits. Alright, and then we'll do another road out this way. Like so? I know, it's chill vibes, right? It's the lo-fi girl, Sims collab. Lo-fi girl and the Sims. It's like all the old school Sims music. It's pretty cool. I love it too. Alright, I'm gonna put the other one over here. A little pathway in there. Hello, DJ Willie. How you doing? Welcome in. How's your night? Hope it's good. You will come be a farmer. And you will also come and be a farmer. We need another hat maker. There we go. Oh, we can choose the color of our hats. Let's do red hats. Sure, that sounds good. Or we could just do random. Now let's do red hats. We could do 2 colors. Oh, let's do green or brown. Is playing the Avengers on extra hard? Dang. That's crazy, yo. Alright, this farm can be... We'll make this one potatoes. You did it for a trophy? Oh, like an achievement thing? That's cool. Were you achievement hunting? Yeah. Nice. I used to be like that with a lot of games where I'd have to get everything. I gotta turn my... Oh, I ran out. I ran out. The extra hard is not so hard. Oh, okay. I'm not a good enough gamer for all that nonsense. But when I used to play like RPGs a lot, I used to be one of those people where like I had to get everything. Good evening. You love how to say so much. Ah, you're addicted now, Izzy. I got you. I got you. It felt like normal mode. Damn. Maybe you're just too good of a gamer. Maybe you're just too good of a gamer. Holy shit, what just happened? I got a bucket. There you go. I have a bucket. I got it for you. Oh, that must have been all the farm decorations? Oh yeah. That we unlocked. I forgot. We have this cute crate of stuff. Oh my gosh. You just got the request to place the... Oh, let's go! Like in Rock. Yeah. Alright, we need to put some trees to separate the farm from the little town here. We'll do some smaller trees. Here comes the farmer, he moving in. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's a Mika. Is that a Mika? Small. Tiny. So tiny. So small. Wait, I have to turn on Twitch integration. I almost forgot. Okay. Twitch. Authorize. Permission. Also drink something. You got it. I just I have one sip of my soda left. Now I open the water. Let us in! No! No. 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 JK, you can come in. Come on in, chat. Get cozy on the farms. Wait, why does that start out? What was that? What did you say there? I can't see it. The only bad thing about using OBS or model scissors. Oh, no way. Wait, you have a Suiika? Oh, I love my Suiika model. I'm getting a new one though. I bought the Twin Tails customizable. Upgrading from warehouse worker to farmer. Let's go. Mika is so small. It's so tiny. Hold on, I gotta see if the auto. I can't see auto mod in here. What the fuck? I gotta go to the moderator screen for my own stream just so I can see if AutoMod caught this and why. Izzy, I don't know what you said that AutoMod caught. It's not in there. It's not in there. Izzy, what'd you say? What'd you say, Izzy? Why did you get starred? You did a fake gift name. Oh, it was the period. Okay. Did you use a dot? It probably thought it was a web address. Excuse me. Yep. Oh, okay. I have links blocked so people don't post weird shit in chat. I think there's a way to give permissions to certain people, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how that works. I just spilled my water everywhere. Like a freaking dummy. Hold on, I have a paper towel right here. BRB chat. Stay there. Stay right there. Stay right there. I'll be right back. I'm back. You didn't even know I was gone, did you? There we go. Cleaned. Sit stays. Yeah, stay right there. Don't move. Where do you think you're going? Alright. Okay. Everybody's over here. See, everybody who was here before stays. You know, our Ghoul, Ghoul is a farmer. Use OBS as well. Yeah, most people do. I really want to switch to what's it called? Meld. I thought about switching to Meld, but I have to figure out how to do this thing that Meld doesn't do. So I have to figure out some other way to do it if I'm going to switch. Because I feel like OBS has been giving me all kinds of issues. And I'm also going to be switching all my bot stuff to StreamerBot, which I started doing. But now I have to decide, do I want to do it or do I want to wait till I have my new model? Because then I have to do it again. When I get my new model, I'll have to change stuff. So I don't know. Alright, I'm going to do... So we still got to do tomatoes, lettuce, and hops. And then I'm going to do the hops right here. It'll be hops. hopses for making the beers. It's for making the beers, guys. Everybody likes beers, right? That's not true. I actually don't like beers. I like hard ciders. I don't like beer, though. I think hard cider still might have some hops in it. Big ol' hops farm. Oh no, it's not even. Oh, there we go. Perfect. It's perfect. It's probably good enough. You know, their worker at the granary. Need more granary workers. I'm hoping I can fit some houses in here. Need more houses. Do some more of these artisan houses. I think these will fit in here. Yeah, perfect. Then I need this color? Wait, which color did I just do? Which color did I just do? I don't want to do it again. The peach. I think I need this cream color? I don't heckin' know. Oh yeah, that looks right. That looks right. I think I gotta spread these houses out a little more though. There we go. That's better. Move this one over a little too. Nice. Alright. Is this close enough to the cliff? No. Wait, is it? Wait. Wait a second. Oh, is this considered a cliff right here? That's hilarious. Alright, good enough for me. Oh no, we don't have enough regular people to work. Okay. I guess I changed my mind. We need some regular farmhouses. Or some regular houses. So we'll do that. We ran out of workers. It's not good. Can't run out of workers. Oh my gosh. Houseware shop nearby. See, these are all upgraded except you two. There you go. Your housewares. That'll work. And these people need a house, and these people want a pet. Any pet. Alright. Surely I have pets in my inventory. Show all pets. I have one cat. Here you go, you can have a cat. Oops. Move in here. There you go. One cat, just for you. Have a cat. Meow. Everyone loves cat. Ooh, how not love cat? Alright, we need more trees. Alright, you guys need some decorations. All the trees. All the trees. Love trees. What kind of farm signs do we got? Pumpkins, cows, bees. What is that? Oh, it's a sheep. We should put this one at the sheep farm. Where's the sheep farm at? Right here. You're a sheep farm. You should have a sheep sign. There you go. And then over here is our bee farm. We're gonna give you a bee sign. Let's go. And what else was there? Cows and pumpkins. We don't have those yet. We don't have those yet. All these people want to come live here, man. Everybody wants a taste of farm life. Why wouldn't you? Look how cute our town is. So cute. So cute. So precious. Burp. Alright, you guys need some trees too, huh? They need some lights and stuff too. Alright, and we were using these lights, the dark wood. The single post. I'll turn the random off. How was the rest of your stream earlier, Ghoul? I'm sorry I couldn't stay. I was right in the middle of my finishing up my workout and they had to make dinner and stuff. I had to rush around to get to stream on time and I was still late. I'm always late. Oh, that's blindingly obvious, not lined up. That's alright, I guess. It's okay, unfortunately it crashed, so I had to cut short. Oh no, not the crash! Not the dreaded crash. Oh, this is our bistro. But I fixed the problem, so it's all good for next time. Nice. Excellent. Yeah, I gotta do oh, excuse me. I gotta do a stream on my Switch soon because I got a capture card for my birthday. But I haven't decided what I want to play yet. I could play Animal Crossing. Lord knows my villagers miss me. Lord knows my villagers miss me so much. I love my Switch. Aw, did you get a Switch too? Yes, you did, because you were talking about Pokopia. Des, right? I remember now. Were you able to transfer your Animal Crossing save over? I'm too addicted to Animal Crossing right now to play it though. Oh. Oh. I'm gonna do this one. Just gonna make like a little patio here for the bistro. Hi, Ashen. How are you? Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing pretty good. I got home from work and I worked out. I worked out. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm a yawner. Yawning. All the yawns. And then I made dinner. We had tacos. And now I'm strumming. Strum. I strum. I'm a strummer. Sometimes I do that. How's your evening? If it's evening. It might not be evening. Taco. Yes, tacos. Oh, look, there's Rule. Look at you. Look, you're a tiny child. BB. Toddler. Just walking around by yourself around town. Where's your parents? Can they be watching you? It's 2 a.m. there? Oh, no. Gotta finish a few graphics before I can finally go to bed. I gotcha. It'd be like that sometimes, huh? It is you. Look at you. Yeah, so tiny, so small. If you guys do !help in the chat, you'll get a list of commands that you can use to interact with the game. If you so choose to do that. Let's do like a little hedge, that'd be cute. Then we can put like a little archway here somewhere. There's the arches. That's cute. Let's go! Wait, you're 100% happiness, Izzy? Wait, where are you? We gotta find you. No child labor, I see. Nope, they don't allow that. Never mind, it's in the time period where exactly that would be happening, probably. Alright, we gotta find Izzy. Where's Izzy at? Where are you, Izzy? There's Willie. There's Ashen. child. You're a farmer. Oh, farmers have jobs. You're a farmer. Plus 22% on your home decor happiness. Said you're 100% happy though. Alright, I wanted to find Izzy. Where's Izzy at? Izzy, where are you? Cannot find you. There's Mika. Is Mika tiny? Mika, come out. Mika, come out. Are you tiny in there? Hello? Mika! Are you in there? Are you little? Are you tiny baby? Small? Alright. I found Izzy! You're in there. I can't click on you. Yes, I can. There you are. You're an entertainer. Wow, you're fancy. You're like famous. You're like a famous entertainer or something. Everybody's 22% happy with their decorations. I guess I didn't decorate good enough. And married, damn. Got that cozy home, yes. Sunflowers are your favorite? Nice. I've been decorating all the houses with sunflowers in this village. If you ever want to change roles, I think it's like roll or something. Exclamation point roll. What is it? Reroll. That's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, come on, chat. Come on. There we go. It was broken. I fixed it. I'm smart. I fixed the thing. There's Coraline. Coraline. Look at you. You're strutting. You're strutting. You got the fancy clothes on. You must be an artisan. You are. Strut. Got that strut on. Oh, I need to turn that off. It's not my birthday anymore. Let's fix that real quick. Let me just fix that real quick. My birthday's all done now. We don't need that on there. Chatbot. Timers. Throne. There we go, that's better. Now it won't say my birthday anymore. Because it's not my birthday anymore. That's silly. Silly throne. I'm walking here. I'm walking here. Can't you see I'm walking here? Damn. Oh, we still don't have the bistro tables. Alright, well for now we'll just put a couple picnic tables over here. And we'll get some umbrellas. And we got disable collision. And we can click it. Umbrellas! Umbrellas! So cute. So cute. I love. Ew. I don't think I have any lights or anything. Well, I have a lot of detailing to do around this plaza still. I don't have any lights or nothing. Maybe we should give them the fancier lights because it's the nicer part of town. It's where the artisans live. They're, you know, upper middle class or whatever. House. Hello, horse. There's a horse. Oh, those are crooked. The heck? The heck was I thinking? There we go. That's better. That'll be more lit up at nighttime. Cute. Some terrain painting. Because, you know, this would be like kind of dusty and beat up around the buildings. Wouldn't be perfectly green grass. That wouldn't make sense. Good. Works for me. Alright. So what are we doing? Oh yeah, farms. Oh yeah, I gotta finish decorating my farms. We need farm decorations. Need scarecrows. Need a scarecrow over here. There you go. And I can't really see them in the hops, so I'm not gonna give them a scarecrow. What is this? Gardening table. Oh. There you go. That's cute. Want some pumpkins? You can have some. You can have some pumpkins. You want a wheelbarrow? How about a wheelbarrow? You can borrow the wheel. There you go. Cute. That's enough for you. You don't need any more. All done. All done. No more. Yeah, you can have the wheelbarrow with the pumpkins. You want that, don't you? You want that, don't you? What else can you guys have? You guys want some haystacks? There you go. Some haystacks. And what else? What else? What else? It's a watering can. Wait, can I put this on the table? Wait. I got the perfect thing for this. You put it here and then you get the new whatchamacallit tool. Oh. And this. Then you can raise it up. Move it over. Make sure it's not floating. I think it's good. Look at that. Now it's on the table. I put it on the table. Dang, that's so cool. That's a new, I can't remember what that tool's called. Thingamajig. Gizmo. It's a gizmo. That's what it is. My chair's squeaking. Alright, I feel like you need more stuff over here. What else do you need? You need like a watering thingy. Oh. Chapeau? I'll give you the water pump. And you can have the bucket. It's empty. Oh, and a full bucket. Is that a bucket of milk? I don't know. Is it milk or water? Who knows? Can't tell. Alright, and then I'll give it a little dirt spot. Smaller. So small. So tiny. There you go. Cute! Alright, let's go. I think I will put a farm over here too. We need more farm. We still have 2 more farms to build. So I'm gonna put it here. Waterside farm. Should we do lettuce or tomatoes right here? What do you guys think? We can do the more farm surface area too. You guys can come live here. Cock-a-doodly-doo. Bitches. Let's do... We can do lettuce or tomatoes. What should we do? Let's do... I'm thinking tomatoes. Maters. Do some on the side too. That's probably plenty. Look at all them maters. There's gonna be an ad starting in about 1 minute. I appreciate you guys hanging out with your ads. You know, it's annoying. But Twitch plays ads no matter what I do. So I do the 3 minutes every hour, so it tries to not be so annoying. Alright, and then across the street here, we'll do our lettuce farm. Lettuce. I can fix this corner now because we got the farm expanded. This was potatoes. I want to fix this corner. There we go. That looks a lot better. Alright, you come live here, please. Thank you. Give me your little dirt path. Alright, and you will be lettuce. Dang, it looks pretty cool. I guess I'll turn and go around the bend like this. Might as well, right? Lettuce. Oh my gosh. I ran out of workers again. What is this? House far away from any neighbors. No. Business. Goodbye. You're not welcome here. Goodbye. Sorry. I don't have time to mess around with people being mad they're too far away from things when they want to be far away from things. Silly gooses. Oh no. Our granary's maxed out. We're gonna need another one. Let's put another one. Let's see. I'll probably continue farms on this side. So. I want to. Let's put a road here. This. Yeah. And then we'll take here, we get a granary. I'm gonna put it right here. Wait, I don't want to do that. I want to get this granary that's already decorated. Put it here. Looks like it's part of the farm. Like the people who want a house far away from other buildings and then get mad they're not close to work. I know! they're like, I'm too far away from everything. And I'm like, you wanted a house far away, you jerk. Now you're sad and I have to hear about it. Son of a beach. There we go. That should help lighten things up over here. Oops. So we can get rid of some workers here. Excellent. I also think I'm going to... No, I'm not going to. We may end up moving our rock. Can I move him? Oh, I can. We may end up moving him. I have plans. I have plans for this rock. So we may end up moving him somewhere else in the future. Not quite yet, but in the future. Alright, we need more trees. More trees. And maybe some small trees? Alright, then you guys need some decorations. Farm decorations. I'm gonna give you a shed because you have lots of room. Let's put a shed here. We'll paint like a little pathway. Oh, not like that, we won't. Wait, this should be dirt. And that. You can decorate your little shed. Flowers. Here you go. Wait, I can put a hay thing on here? Wait, that's kind of cute. What is that? I don't even know what that is. It's just hay. Interesting. Okay. I have to figure out how far apart they have to be exactly because I got like 4 people in close succession who wanted houses far away from everyone. So I have a long ass road up onto a cliff with 3 houses on it and one on the bottom of the cliff. Oh. Yeah, they get annoying. I'm glad that you can like dismiss people and be like, yeah, I don't remember you right now, go away. You know? Might expand the tomatoes. 'Cause I can. Alright, what kind of decoration should we give this farm? Decorations. Let's give you one of these guys. Okay, some flowers and stuff. Some pumpkins out back. A wagon. Oh, scarecrow. You're gonna need a scarecrow. Or two. You need 2 scarecrows. You got kind of a wide field there. Alright, and then I'm gonna do some more trees to kind of, you know, just to kind of separate it from the town there. She just came out of the shed! But yeah, I don't know exactly how far apart they have to be. I usually just kind of like put them far away and then I go back later and make sure that they're at like 20% happiness, because they're usually 20% is the max extra happiness that they'll have. I'm just going through and upping the coverage of our farms a little bit where I can, because some of them I left room because I knew we'd be able to expand them later. Hello? Why is it doing that? Oh my god, it just took like 3 points in there. Can't control Z that. Didn't want 20. I just wanted a couple. You can delete them, but I guess you can only delete end ones. Good enough. Good enough for me. Let's see, this is wheat. Trees? More trees? That's too big. There's supposed to be a camel at this house, but I've yet to see the camel anywhere. I know he exists. I just don't know where he is. You can also add some more decorations here and there at places. Some of the older farms. This granary is also maxed down now. Oh no, we're out of workers. Need more regular houses. Could put some people up here on this cliff. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll... The kids don't age in this game. So if you decide that you don't want to be a kid and you want to be a grown-up with a job, you can always switch. You can always do a re-roll. Or you can always forever be BB. Always be BB. Tiny, forever. Littlest BB. I don't like that. Maybe I should make this road smaller. You're gonna go night-night, Corlin. Night-night. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good EPs. Well, I think I'm gonna deforest this forest. We'll build it behind these houses I'm about to build instead. So I need a little bit of room to make that farm bigger. Because eventually, gonna have to probably make it bigger. Ooh, they just barely fit in here. I should just do that right now, actually. We'll just do it right now. Taters. Can I fit another one? Oh, I can. I think I'll put like a park right here. That'll be cute. That'll be good. That'll be a good thing to do. Yeah. Good thing to do. Yeah. And some trees. Schmon. Oh shoot, I had to randomize. These are all the same tree. I don't want to do that. I forgot I turned it off. I'm gonna give you guys some flowers. Aww, cute. So cute. Gonna have it early tonight. I have to be up early in the morning tomorrow. Okay, have a good eat. Thanks for hanging out, Izzy. Sleep well. Maybe I'd like some bushes or something. Alright, and then in here, let's do a merry-go-round. Let's do a tree swing. Feels like a good place for that. And a hopscotch. And maybe some of these bars. There you go. If we do this stone, maybe it'll look like gravel or something. We used to have the gravel down at the playgrounds when I was a kid. We need a slightly darker color for under here. Down the merry-go-round. Yeah, like that. We didn't put any lights over here. You gotta put lights! Yeah, the kid's playing in the darkness. And I wonder if we should put a fence up here so it looks more safe. It's not very safe right now. Let's do that. Let's put a fence. Put a tall guarding fence here. Oh. I didn't realize they went up and back down like that. Can I smooth it? That's way too big. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, that's better. That looks much safer. Much safer. Yeah, safer. It should probably come down more. Whoops. Perfect. There we go. Now we have enough workers. We'll have more houses for more people to move in. Let's go. Alright, I think we have all of our farms now. We do, and we have enough points to upgrade. So let's do it. Unlock new research tier 4. New researchable items available. Farm points cap increased to 1600. Woo! Woo! Woohoo! So now we have milk, pumpkins, lavender, and medicinal herbs. Global farming. That would be awesome. That means we could put farms in our other town if we want. Alright, let's see what this request is. Whoops. There's a legend handed down from generation to generation that one day our family will be surrounded by fields of violet. Great acres of lavender stretching towards the far horizon. Tell us, Mayor, will this legend come to pass today? Oh, shoot. Sure. We'll put it right here. Kitty. Ooh, these want to be a farmer? I got you, bro. So you will come live here, and this will be, what was this? Shoot, I don't know what was planted here. Wait, that looks like hops. Did I already plant hops? What are you? Oh no, it's grapes. That's right, you're the vineyard. Okay. Well, we're gonna edit you again. And also, I need to make you bigger. So we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna get rid of these trees. That's good enough. Place a scarecrow. Okay, I'm just gonna scooch him over. Oh no! What? How'd you get there? Just popped up out of nowhere. Lavender. Oh, we don't have lavender yet. Lavender. Let's also get pumpkins while we're at it. Alright, now you can have lavender. Okay, I'll fix that in a second. I just want to get the event first. Rejoice, child, the lavender is upon us. I never smelled such a rich fragrance. Ah, have you fallen under its spell? This too was foretold as the touch of lavender. Ooh, pretty. Alright, let me finish editing this. I think this granary is maxed out. Yeah, okay. So, we'll put another granary. We could put it up here. Alright, we're gonna have to do the wiggly road. There we go. And then we'll put our granary right here. Right here. put them right here. Na, 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 na. Alright. And then I'll probably relieve some people over here. Yeah. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. You are relieved of your duties. No. There we go. Still picky sometimes, I swear. Alright, and then get rid of these. Yeah, put down this pretty archway we just got. Ooh. Beautiful. So everybody knows this is the lavender farm. And this we need to turn into the vineyard now. Because now we have no vineyard. Good. And you guys just need some lights. Oh, lights. We need lights. You're already lit up. You're good. We need lights. We need our little dirt path. We need... What else do we need? I think you need a doghouse. Give you a doghouse. A cute little box. Some pumpkins. There you go. Give you a scarecrow. Nice. We're doing it. Alright, and then I need to be able to put a road here. You know what that means, chat? It's terraforming time. Oops. Oh no. Hi, Giga. Good evening, Giga. How are you today? I gotta record that stuff for you this week. Yeah, don't forget your nano bunny. Yee. I don't know what to record. I'm just gonna try to find some like examples of like things you would put on a voice reel, I guess. On an audition reel. And just copy it? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out. Surely I can figure it out. Don't call me Shirley. Okay. Oh no. VTube Studio crashed on my phone. Wonder if my phone's getting hot. No, it's not hot. Nap time. Yep, go sleepy. Honk shoes. Honk shoes. Oh, I bet I gotta reconnect Bridger too. Is it connected? Is it working? Oh yeah, it's working. I can pucker, that's how I know. Basically, I just want an example of your microphone and stuff. Oh, okay. I thought you wanted us to do like different voices and stuff. I was struggling because I was like, man, I wish I knew like what kind of characters you were looking for so I knew what kind of voices to do. Oh, that helps. Oh, okay. But not required for phase 1. Got it, got it, got it. Excuse me. I yawned. I'm a yawner. I did the yawn thing. I think the only thing I would request is turn off all your microphone effects for the recording. I'll handle those in post. I don't have any effects. All I have is like my equalizer and stuff. Is that what you mean? But it'll sound so shitty. Oh, itch. I got itch. That is what my job is for. Alright. What about noise suppression? You can do that too? Because my mic picks up everything. Alright, good to know. Just for you, I'll expose myself. Not like that. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That... Wait. 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 That's not what I meant. There's no mods here. They don't come to my streams. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it like that. I meant my voice. Exposing my voice. That's what I meant. Don't bully me, chat. Don't you do it. Wow, I'm lagging. Mods! There's no mods here. There's only me. I don't know where I'm going with this road. I'm just gonna stop. These people want a cat? I don't think I have any cats. I need to adopt some animals. Just adopt all these animals. Alright, you guys can come live over here. There's lots of places to live over here. You guys can live here, and then I'll assign you a cat that I just bought you. Choppets. Cat. He's Matthew, spelt weird. There you go. One cat. Yes, I'm working on the tools that come with some expense, so I don't want to push them to the limit so that I can make sure everyone sounds good. I gotcha. Oh, you do want to. I read that wrong. I'm sorry. Our farming town is getting kind of dense looking. I like it. How many people are interested? Yeah, I've actually... Voice acting is something I've always been really interested in because I like to do different voices. Or like when I was a kid growing up, I used to mimic other voices a lot. Or I try to copy sounds and stuff. I don't know that I'm any good at... Wait, they're going to use the bridge. I haven't seen anyone walk over a bridge yet. Look at them strut. It's like, yeah, bitch, this is my bridge. The fuck? What about it? Oh no. Oh, he went around. That was nice. He just dodged him in slow-mo. Did you see that? It's like, oh, pardon me. Let me dodge. One never knows. It's true. Well, that was cute. I like the bridges. They're so fun. Now we just need some boats. Need some boats trolling around the water. That would be so cute. Some canoes. Little schwan boats or something. That's what we're missing. We don't have any ducks and stuff in the lake. We'll have to do that. We'll have to do that. Yeah, we should get boats and docks. You know what they could do? Is they could get they can make it so that if you put the bridge near water, but the other end goes in the water and not on land, it could turn into a dock. Wouldn't that be cute? The pun demo before and after the edits was pretty good. I plan on getting something of an intro for the test project. Oh, cool. Ramp a boat. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty close to the water already, the ground. I was multitasking and then forgot. Oh, and don't be sorry. You're okay. I don't even know what time it is right now. What time is it? Oh, we still have like another hour. You're good. Your cheese job. Everybody's happiness is 100%. Dang right! You know what? I think you're a cheesemonger in both towns. Now that I think about it. I could be wrong. I have no complaints with this. Dang, Giga, you're just getting picked on today. With cheese around, who can be mad, right? Everyone likes cheese. They just be jelly. They want the cheese. Cheese. Giga, you're gonna play games with us on Friday, I heard. Let's see what this request is. Oh, you also heard. Nice. Our lavender is so beautiful. Certainly, my child. But woe is us. A twist in the legend? No, our lavender fields are getting raided by birds. Mayor, could you help chase them away? I mean, I guess. Place fences or hedges to protect the lavender. Place light sources to keep an eye on the lavender. Place scarecrows around the farm to scare away birds. Place a doghouse. Okay. Okay, except it all has to go in this circle, which is where not my field is. Red ass, I just coordinated. Nice. The red didn't say anything to me, that turd. Big stinker. I was talking to him too right before I drove home from work. Doghouse. Scarecrows. How many scarecrows? 10 scarecrows? Holy shit, bro. Why so many scarecrows? That's just spam. Yeah, that one won't count because it's too far away. Alright, well. I'm just gonna spam them because I don't want to put them over there. Light sources. Oh, the scarecrows count as light sources because they have light up eyes. And the last thing was fences or hedges. We'll do fences. But again, I don't know if it's gonna count because it'll be way over here. Oh no! I didn't realize this was running into my field. Alright, you gotta scooch over, bro. Rude. That was so rude. Can you believe that guy? Can't believe he just ran in my field like that. So if it sucks, it's all Red's fault. I'm sure it won't suck. We've all been playing games together for long enough at this point. Oh, all these trees are in my way. The building is a bit wonky on the road, I think. Yeah, it is. It's snapping to the road, though, so... According to the game, that's where it's supposed to go. There we go. Did it count on my fences? No. Stupid. Alright, well... I just want to make the quest happy. Oh. There we go. It's ugly. I hate it! Scarecrows, fences, doghouse. A brilliant combination of bird dispelling techniques. A few birdhouses would have done the trick too. Child, don't be so disrespectful. It's true though. Birdhouses. Give them a try next time. Birdhouses! Cute. Here's my birdhouse. There it is. Alright. Now we will delete all these. And this hedge. Excellent. Some trees. Alright, so this is wonky because the road is wonky. So what we can do is... Hello? We can turn off snapping. And we can line it up on our own. There you go. Is that better? Oh, this is also the wrong one. It's not all decorated. Now I gotta decorate it. Damn it. No, I can't get to that window. Oh, you know I can put it up there. Cute. Alright, that needs some lights. Maybe another one on this side. One on this side. Needs machine gun nests and flat cannons that will take out those pesky birds. No. No, don't be silly. What do you think this is? Call of Duty? You wingnut. Birds can't land if there isn't a town. How dare you, sir? What do you think this is? Fallout? It can be! No. Never will be. Never! Alright, that should be good. Oh wait, let's actually give them a birdhouse though. Where did it go? Where's birdhouse? Is it a farm decoration? What is it? Not a farm decoration. Hello, birdhouse? Where are you? Birdhouse. Wait, it's a house decoration? Hey, what happens if I put it on a... Oh my gosh. Oh my god, it's so cute! What the heck? That's so heckin' adorable. I love that. Alright. We got some people that want houses. Go here. Go here. And go here. Oh, and then we need a worker here. Nice. Alright, what do we got going on? We have maxed out our points. We can have cows in the patisserie and the herbal medicines. Medicinal herbs. What do you guys think that is? Drugs. 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 Oh, I forgot I turned snapping off. I should put our cow farm. We're running out of space. Drugs? Drugs. Medicinal herbs, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, medicinal herbs. Totally. Word. There's ads right now. Sorry, guys. You can't hear me. Apologize. Oh, thank you so much for the Prime subby. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Are we Breaking Bad, aka Town to Crack Den? Maybe? No, we're just a bunch of wholesome farmers. There's no poppy fields here or nothing, you know? How am I gonna do this? This is ugly. I hate this. It's gross. Oh no! I hit the Windows key. Oops. I didn't mean to. Okay, now. What if I also just delete this room? Dumbass, interrupt my streamer. Kidding, bye. Thank you. I appreciate you. And the lurker unlurks. Nagushi, full-time lurker. Alright, this will be better, I think. Go like this. Ads are over! And we'll angle it this way. Yeah, I think that would be better. And then I will fix this road. Hi, Chill. Ugh. How are you today? Welcome in. I had to adjust my foot. And it's starting to get crampy. I'm doing okay. You know, just hanging. Being a farmer. We're gonna plant some medicinal herbs. Alright, this is ugly. I hate this. Don't worry, chat. I'll fix it. I'll fix it, chat. Don't worry, I'll fix it. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of space over here. You know what? Deforestation! Goodbye, forest! Deforestation. We're gonna fix all of this. Because this is all terrible. Meow. Don't worry, I'll fix you. Let's just pause it so they're not cranky. Alright, maybe we should do some more organic roads up here. Maybe that would be better. There, you guys should be happy now. Oh, you're not connected. Let me just... You have your own little bloop like that. There we go. And then I think I'll do like a... Nope, not like that. Like that. And then can loop around like this. And we get our dropper and we grab our house. Stick it right here. This road's still not great. Yeah, that makes more sense. Actually, I don't like this loop either. I don't like this either. This is ugly. You will now be farmers. They wanted to be in a house surrounded by a lot of trees. See, come over here. There you go. Alright, this will be... Oh no, nothing reaches over here. Really? I guess this is getting kind of far away. Kids don't give a shit. They're happy. Just Charles is grumpy. Look at him, so grumpy. So grumpy with his arms crossed. Grumpy Charles. So grumper. Look at him. He's grumpy. So angry. Medicinal herbs. There's lots of room over here for activities. I ran out of space. Oh no! there's still a little space. There we go. Pretty field. It definitely kind of looked like that one stuff. Alright, we need to make them happy though. Should probably finish making our road too. That goes all the way around. I'm putting like a plaza thing here with the Ferris wheel and stuff. So what is this angle? Should have been like that the whole time. Good thing I have Control Z now. Oh. There we go. That looks better. Yes, it's looking much cleaner. I like it. That's not the angle I want. Can research a new item. No, I don't want that item. That's not what I wanted. Oh, it's still... There, that's better. That's better. You can tell it's not quite right because the road gets like weird fat looking. It's like awkward looking. It looks weird and bulgy. We don't want it to be weird and bulgy, chat. Okay. So if I do... Actually, yeah, let's just do it this way. Why not? Let's do circle. Bigger circle. Deforestation. Okay. Alright, and then I think we'll need a warehouse near here. Will we? I don't know, let's see. Let's just see. Patisserie. We don't need all that. We just need these stalls. Oh man, he doesn't fit. I move this one over. Yeah, Fern Gully that land. Damn. Oh no! I killed all the fairies. The forest fairies are all dead. What was that girl's name in the movie? What was the forest fairy girl? What was her name? I don't remember. Okay, yeah, they don't reach up there. Bummer, dude. Sad. It's too far away. Way too long ago since I've seen that? Me too. Oh, you're over here. I saw your bubble inside your house. You. You're an artisan. You're unemployed. You're a child. You're a BB. A BB. Alright, well that's not gonna work. You have all these needs you need met so that you'll farm things. Thanks for the lurk. Alright, well, these aren't gonna work. Give me my money back, damn it. That's gonna stay there because we're gonna use that eventually. Wait, it says it reaches. You're lying. It's not connected to a granary. It's right here. What do you mean, Why are you full of shit, house? Yeah, that's what I thought. Also, it says all this stuff can reach you. It says it reaches you way over there. Why are you lying? Additional connections give less happiness? Alright, what if I... If I delete this. Stupid. What if I put you up here? Well, you're not mad. But it also seems like you don't have anything. Well, good enough for me. Except now your farm is really far away. Yeah, that's better. Tree. Smart tree. Right, some lights. Lights, camera, action. You know what else you need? How about a stump? There you go. You have a stump. I don't know why, but you do. You know, wheelbarrow. For borrowing wheels. What else do you need? You need some grass. Why are you so ugly? Yeah, let's give you some grass. Don't have to be dirt. Grass. Maybe just a little bit of dirt. Here. That's better. Alright, what else do you need? Golden choo-choo. No. The golden choo-choo right in your yard. That's what you need, right? You want a shed? That's so big. You don't want a shed. You want a pump. Dirt. You know what else you need? You need a scarecrow. Give me the orange one. So the burbs don't get your medicinal herbs. Medicinal. Good. Alright, another farm down. We have a new request. I don't care. I don't care about that request. I'm actually getting kind of sleepy. Alright, what else we got left in here? What's happening over here? Oh, you need a farmer. Here you go. This guy wants to be a farmer. I don't know what I was going to put here. I started building a farm, apparently. Pumpkins? Moo cows. You can be the moo cow farm. Moo moos. Moo moos. No. My game jumped a little. Look at the moo-moos. Aww. Look at the cows. Mrrr. Bro, what are you doing on that cliff? I think I put you too close to the cliff. Oh, he despawned. That's good. You don't want to be up there. Can I plan this some more? Maybe to like... Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, we need a fence to keep in our cows. Oh, I guess I didn't have to go all the way over there. I could just go like this. We'll go to here. And then... we don't have any gates, so... we'll put an archway and pretend it's a gate. It's where the cows go in. Here. Here. In here. I'm gonna put some hay out here. And there's just some equipment out here, you know, in the field. There we go. Trees. Trees make everything look better. Cute. And then we need our cow sign. So everyone knows there's cows here. There you go. We got our bell right here. Alright, I need some lights. Lights, camera, action. Yeah, we're looking good, guys. We had a... what is this? Far away from neighbors. No. Dismiss. Oh, cramp. Okay, I'm good now. Anywhere for you to live? I do. Alright. How are you guys doing? Are you still okay? You good? I mean, it can. Everything reaches. It says it should reach. What is that? Oh, it's a piece of the... I wonder, is it because of the weird cliff? Maybe. Nope. I don't know. I have to figure out how I want to fix that. I don't want to have another plaza somewhere. What is this? A house near Lavender Fields. Oh, pff, you're bumming, bro. Ain't no houses. I could put some houses up here, I guess. Technically, there's room up here for houses. We could wind a road through here and have some cliff houses. Alright, let's check out this request and then we're probably gonna be done for the night. Oh, it's Grumpy Charles. I'm a little in over my head. Could you help me out? It's my dream to set up the most complete farm in the region. I'm talking cows, I'm talking sheep, I'm talking a who's a good boy, best boy, fluffy little shepherd dog. Oh, frick. Why you do this? Why do I assign you farm and then you're like, no, I want this farm. Meow, 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 meow. Alright, so you want wool and cow. Alright, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to delete these scarecrows. We go to edit. And then go to erase. Okay. Cows. Cows. And sheeps. Oh, what the heck? Ran out of space. Come on, bro. There we go. Arch. works. Assign a dog as a pet to Charles' family. Okay. Go here. Show all pets. Can have Jan. It's the closest thing I got to a shepherd dog. Okay. We got cows. We got sheep. We got a coochie coochie coo. Go get him, handsome attaboy. There's a good boy farm dog. Thanks, Mayor. You're welcome. Animal statue. Let's go. Since you have a doggo. And a doghouse. Always seems right. Alright, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over here to this sheep farm. We're gonna make you pumpkins instead. Okay. And then over here we just put the cows. Will now be medicinal herbs instead. There we go. All's right with the world. I think that's all the farms we have right now. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're actually we're almost done with the farming stuff, which is great. Then we'll never come back here again. I'm just kidding. Oh, you're sheeping, huh? Okay. Go sheep. This road. Oops. It's moving too quick. Yeah, you guys are gonna need stuff up here. You want to have any pet? I got you. I got pets. Let me buy some more. Just to make sure. Dang, another request? Just keep getting requests.
Wow.
Hooray, we're getting a pet! A pet cat! Certainly, but right now our place isn't ideal for a cat. We have to give them the bestest home possible. So we'll need more space and maybe a fish pond? Ooh. Move the house to a location without other houses or shops nearby. Of course you would. So this house? Yeah. It's a fish pond. Where's that at? There it is. That's fucking huge, man. There you go. Fish pond. Place trees. Okay. Place bushes. Bushes. Doesn't say what kind of bushes. You know, I feel like you need some flowers too. Just seems right. There you go. You don't have food or clothing, but your cat will be happy. Let's go play with the fishes. Gets up. Meow. That's it. What fun. Settles down again. Guess he's a low energy cat. Yep. Most cats be like that. That's cute. Cute! Alright, do I have more stuff I can do now? Yes. Let's go. This will take forever. It's like our max points. Alright. I'm gonna stop here for tonight because I'm kind of sleepy. My voice is also kind of raspy sounding right now. I'm getting sleepy voice. Our population is 601 now. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-dum, bum. Alright. Back to fun music. Let's find someone to raid. Let's see who's live right now. Red's live. Let's go see Red. If you're a subby, you can use the first raid call. If you're not a subby, you can use the Nemo Pops. We're gonna go say hi to Red. I think Wednesday we're gonna do some more Nova Roma again. I'm gonna do it better this time, so we can actually build a wall and defense and stuff around our town. I built too close to the ocean. I gotta not do that. I have a plan. I have a plan, chat. Let's go say hi to Red, and I'm gonna go get ready for night nights. Thank you all for hanging out. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the subbies. Thanks for hanging out and being a part of my little town. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. See you later. Get the fuck out. Goodbye.